Okay, age word problems continued. We're going to look at some slightly more advanced age word problems today. And the difference is mostly going to be in this last part of the second sentence. Okay. So what happens when in 6 years, instead of having the sum of their ages, what if we have something different there? And this is just using that skill of translating English into math. This problem says Gary is 4 times as old as Nate. That sounds pretty familiar. We should be able to start off our chart that we started off. Right now, Nate is X, and Gary is 4 times as old as X. So he's 4X. In 6 years, and that's where I stop. I halt. I don't go any further. Thou shalt not pass this comma plus 6. And 4x plus 6, x plus 6. This next step is going to be the thing that we're changing on tonight's homework compared to last night's homework. So he says, in 6 years, he will be 3 times as old as Nate. What does he mean? What does he mean? Who? Gary. What is Gary's age in 6 years?
4 times.
It's this. This whole thing is Gary's age in 6 years. Okay? So this means 4x plus 6. What does will be mean? When we see the verb be, will be equals. 3 times, what is 3 times? That just means multiply by 3. As old as, the key is as old as is part of this times, really. Right? 3 times Nate, and Nate means Nate's age in 6 years, so Nate is x plus 6. So I've talked you through it. Let's see if we can now turn this into a mathematical equation. What am I going to write?
Equals.
Well, no. What am I going to write for he?
Gary. 4x plus 6.
4x plus 6 will be, what am I going to write?
Equals.
3 times, what am I going to write? Yeah, and the way I'm going to write it in these problems is 3 parentheses.
X plus 6.
Okay? And then as old as Nate, x plus 6.
Can we do distributive property?
Yeah, this is why we've learned the distributive property before we learned these. We need it to solve this problem. So here we have 4x plus 6 equals 3x plus 18. Now, the key with solving these, is to move your x's to one side of the equation. Okay? Move x's to one side of the equation. I'm always going to move the smaller x. Remember we talked about this when we were talking about solving equations. So I'm going to subtract the smaller x from both sides of the equation. And by smaller x, I mean the x with the smaller coefficient. The coefficient that is a lower number. So 4x, and I line it up so that I line it up with its like terms. So 4x minus 3x is x. The 6 doesn't change, and the 3x minus 3x cancels. So now I have x plus 6 equals 18. What's the next step?
We subtract 3 from both 6 and 18.
Subtract what?
6 from both 3
Yeah. 6. So we get x
Equals 12.
equals 12. And there's nothing in front of x, so I don't have to divide, right? I just already have x equals. So x equals 12. That means that Nate is how old?
12 years old.
Nate is 12 years old. And Gary is 4 times 12.
24.
He's 48. Okay. Nate is 12 years old. Gary is 48 years old. Can I erase this?
Yeah. Yes.
What I'd like to do now is just practice. Can I erase this?
Yeah.
Let's say I give you a chart. I'm going to give you this chart. Okay? We'll just make up letters, A and B. Let's say A is twice B. Okay? And then let's say we have plus 3. Okay, so here's just an imaginary chart. All we're going to do right now is practice writing out equations. So let's say it said B will be 4 times as old as A. How would I write this as a mathematical equation? What does B signify here? So we're going to always be using this column, right? So this would say something like in 3 years. In 3 years. So what do I write for B? Yeah.
For B, as a mathematical equation,
Uh-huh.
you write 4 parentheses x plus 3.
Close. You're talking more about this part, the 4 times. B means this number, right? So let's say it was like Bonnie. Bonnie is this. And that's what's a little tricky about these. You have to get used to a person's name representing an expression. So Bonnie is, in math, x plus 3 in this problem. Okay. What does the will be?
Equals
Equals. What is 4 times? 4 parentheses. And then what is A?
2 plus 2x.
2x plus 3. Okay? So Bonnie, x plus 3, will be equals 4 times, 4 parentheses, as old as Adam, 2x plus 3. Let's try a new one. We're not going to solve these, we're just going to work on writing them. So let's say it's that in 3 years, A will be 4 years older than B. Alex will be 4 years older than Bob. Okay, what do I put for Alex? 2x plus 3. What do I put for will be? Equals. How do I do 4 years older than?
4 plus.
4 plus. Now, here's a trick. Whenever we write 4 plus, instead of writing 4 plus, I'm going to write plus 4 over at the end. Okay? So, plus 4 right right to the right. Okay? Whenever we're doing plus or minus, 4 years older than, and then what do I put in this space that I left? That's Bob. And what is Bob in this equation? X plus 3. Right? So I have x plus 3 plus 4. Do you guys see how this means 4 years older than this? Does that make sense? 4 years older than all of this. Alright? Let's do another one. In 3 years, Bart's age will be 2 less than 5 times Art's age. Bart's age will be 2 less than 5 times Art's age. What do I put for Bart's age?
2x plus 3.
Is that Bart starts with B, right? So Bart is going to be B.
Minus 2x.
Bart's age, all I'm doing is taking this.
X plus 3.
X plus 3. Will be, what do I put for will be?
Equals.
Equals. 2 less than.
Minus 2.
And where am I going to write that?
Right next to.
Am I going to write it here?
No, you're going to write it there.
I'm going to write it over here. This is a trick. It's totally fine if you write minus 2 over here and then plus. But this is just a trick that helps us remember that minus 2 is a separate term. Okay? The reason that we do this is if I write minus 2 here, then I also have to remember to write a plus after it. And what Gary and I have both found is a lot of students will forget to write this plus. And then you'll just end up with like minus 2 times 5. But that's not what they're asking you here. So when you see less than or more than or greater than, we write this to the right. Right to the right. Minus 2. Okay, now this is going to fill in the space that I just made. So how do I write 5 times A's age? How do I write that here? 5 parentheses. Excellent. And then what's A's age? 2x plus 3. And I close my parentheses. What is this 5 going to distribute to? It's going to distribute to the 2x and the 3, not to the minus 2. Right? Because it's only 5 times Art's age. 5 times Art's age. So that's what goes in the parentheses. So Bart's age will be 2 less than 5 times Art's age. X plus 3 equals 5 times 2x plus 3 minus 2. Alright. Let's do one more practice. Armadillo's age will be...
Who names a child armadillo?
No, it's an actual armadillo.
Well, who names
Armadillo's
an
age
armadillo?
will be 4 times Badger's age. Oops, that's not what I meant to say. Okay, we can do it this way. 4 times Badger's age plus 2. Armadillo's age will be 4 times Badger's age plus 2. All of a sudden now we're in like Redwall or something, right? Yeah. Okay, armadillo's age. What do I write mathematically? 2x plus 3. Will be, what do I write mathematically? 4 times, what do I write? 4 parentheses. Badger's age, what do I write? X plus 3. Close my parentheses, because it's 4 times Badger's age.
Badger.
Then plus 2, what do I write? Plus
Plus 2.
2. Now, the reason I wanted to do one sort of like this, these can be a little confusing. I don't think that I phrased any like this on your homework. But sometimes when you have like 4 times something plus 2, it's hard to tell whether or not that thing, that plus 2, should go inside the parentheses or not. Like, is it 4 times Badger's age plus 2? Or is it 4 times Badger's age plus 2? And those would be a little bit different mathematically. I think if you see a comma here, the comma means close your parentheses. Okay? If there is no comma, I would actually put the parentheses at the end. I think that would be correct. And this is one reason why we always say, show your work, right? If you put the parenthesis here and you showed your work, I would not take off very many points, right? I might not even take off any points for that. So as long as you're showing your work and showing each step, it doesn't really matter which way. Now sometimes one way will work out to like a weird fraction and one way will work out to a nice pretty whole number. But as long as you show your work, you're not going to get a lot of points off.